The next thing that I need to do is now authorize the application. So for example, if I click on Start and I go to All Apps and I go to ArcGIS, and if I decide to run, for example, ArcMap 10.4, it will load up to a certain point and then it will simply say that you don't have a license. So we actually need to authorize this and activate it using our license. So over here where it says ArcGIS Administrator, I'm going to right click on this, go to More, and choose Run as Administrator. Now it's very important that you run this as administrator because it will not work unless you do so. So at the user account, I'm going to go ahead and click Yes, which will open the administrator. I'm just going to slide the window over a little bit just so I can have this other window open next to it. And there's several ways that we can authorize this. If we use this left one here, it's going to ask us for a license manager. If we use the right one over here, it's going to ask us for some serial numbers or some keys. So if you choose the left way, your ArcGIS application is only going to work in the presence of the license manager, and that's when your computer is plugged in or jacked into the network using the Ethernet cable. If you don't want it to work that way, then you need to choose this one on this side. And this is the way that the tutorial is going to cover, is how to authorize it without using a license manager so that you can take it home, since we know that the building closes at a certain time. So I'm going to choose Advanced ArcInfo Single Use, and then I'm going to click Authorize Now. At this first window it says I have installed my software, I need to authorize it, so that's our case here. I'm going to click Next. At the next window it says Authorize with ESRI now using the internet. That's the way I'm going to do it. Obviously you're going to need an internet connection for this to work. I'm going to click Next, and in here you need to enter in your information. So you want to answer this honestly. Actually, my first name needs to go in here. And then in here, use your studio number or a building that is on campus that you're working in. And then for the city, input Manhattan. For the state, Kansas. And for the zip code, we're going to use 66506. And location, we're in the United States, obviously. Find United States in here. There they are. And then phone number, enter in a campus phone number or your personal phone number, whichever one you feel will work. So maybe some dashes in here might be helpful. And then your email address, I recommend using your KSU email address. And then click Next. And here for your organization, I usually choose education, staff, or faculty. Your industry, this is one's higher education. For myself, so if you're a student, then you probably want to indicate student. I'm an educator, so I'm going to put in educator. And then click Next. And then this part here is where you'll need to enter in your product key. So you're probably wondering, well, where are these serial numbers located? Well, if we go back to our folder where we downloaded things, I'm going to click the up arrow again. We have a directory here called serial numbers, and there's a notepad file in here that says serial numbers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste those serial numbers into these boxes. After I've entered in my serial numbers and click Next, I should be presented with this page here. I do have more extensions, so I'm going to dot in I have authorization numbers to authorize one or more extensions. You may also run into that extension is not listed here, and if that is the case, you'll need to copy and paste the name of it here. And it needs to be, if you're going to type it in, it needs to be typed in exactly as if it was a password. So it is case sensitive and space sensitive. So I'll copy in the name of that extension, and then I'll input or copy and paste the authorization number right next to it. And then after that, I will click Next. If you notice, we don't have numbers for full motion picture, and that is fine. So I'll leave this window at default and click next. And from here, it will send the authorization information to ESRI, and you should receive authorization information back onto your computer. Make sure if you're prompted with firewall information that you do allow access. Once the authorization is successful, you should see a finished right here. This means that this was successful. I will let you know that this doesn't always work the first time, so if it doesn't work for you, don't get impatient. Just wait maybe about 15-20 minutes and just keep trying again and again. If you find that after at least a dozen tries at home it's not working, it could be that your internet connection is too slow, and you may have to wait until you get onto campus to complete the authorization steps. So that is all there is to installing ArcInfo. So once you're done, you should see something that looks like this. If you go to availability, it'll tell you that it will work until June 7th, 2017. If you want to know, if it's working, for sure, one way to do that is to go ahead and click on Start, go to All Applications, go to ArcGIS, open the ArcMap application. You can just single left click on it. You don't need to run it as administrator. So once it opens, you should see something like this. You can just click cancel here. If you want to know if all your extensions made it in, you can click on the customize drop down up here at the top and go to extensions. So we can see that all of those made it in, including the data interoperability. I will tell you that if you check this in, it does take a little while to load, so I'm going to go ahead and just check everything in and then do that one very last, since it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to actually get checked in. Again, I don't know why data interoperability takes a long time for that extension to turn on. So from here I'll click close. Now if you want to know if ArcHydro made it in, you can click on this button here, which is the Arc Toolbox. Once the tool loads up, you should see something that looks something like this. We can see that ArcHydro Tools did make it in. We see ArcHydro Tools Python. If you don't see the tool here in the toolbox that it says ArcHydro in the front, it could be that it did install, but for some reason the tools just didn't load in the toolbox. You can right click up here and choose Add Toolbox and then navigate to where it was installed. So we can see here that we need to go to Folder Connections, and I need to connect to a folder, and it looks like I should connect to my C drive here. I'm just going to connect to my C drive, and then I think things got installed here. There might be a separate ArcHydro directory. Let's go into ArcGIS. And to the Arc Toolbox. Toolboxes. And we can see that a lot of those ArcHydro toolboxes are located in this toolbox. So if you don't see it up here, it should be inside of here. So it's in this long dragged out path directory that you'll have to get to. So if you don't have it, this is a way that you can get it in there. I'm going to click cancel since mine has everything. And that's pretty much all there is to ArcMap ArcGIS.